Shalom, my family, my Shabbatah. Shalom, my people. Ahab or Ahava, my people. Gam, my people. Gam, my people. Mem. Five principles, paleo. Five principles of vibration, paleo, picto. Alif, alif, bet. Vibrate with me. Alif, bet, gam, dal, ha, oh man, stop playing. Stop playing with me, man. All praise Allah. All praise Allah. Excuse me. Baru. Mewa baru. Man, y'all remember we all about Leviathan leadership. We're all about power. We're all about our Creator. And y'all don't forget, we all about family. We all about home, forefront, foundation, our family. And y'all don't forget, we all about gathering for our family. We will walk to go get the bag, man, for our family. Take it how you will. And you better not forget, you gotta be about the breath. That breath has to do something for you, Leviathan. That breath has to be that source. That breath has to be the origin. Why? The why has to be the fire, the dragon that secures the breath. It secures your breath. has to be the fire you spin down with vengeance to smite. Alright, excuse me, sorry. Let me go back to my Ahchwa vibration. But remember, I'm a warrior. God body, Leviathan, the Dracon. Hebrew, stand up. Matter of fact, let's read it. Let's read it. Leviathan. Now remember, let's dodge your own damned hijacks. Now this gonna make a lot of sense when you're reading this, because you're gonna see somebody's trying to damn you, man. Alright, remember when we went through the Kendrick Lamar album talking about that damned album? How we're damned, how someone is damning you. Check this out, okay? Brother came up to me the other day, was like, man, you know, when the Leviathan, they talk about this sea monster. You dig? Alright, man, listen. Go show you how to dodge your own damn hijacks, okay? Y'all hear that flute? 432. Stand up, Hebrew. Stand up, bro. Stand up, bro. Man, I confirmed this shit a long time ago. Stand up, bro. So check this out. And while we here, I'm gonna hit y'all with some other shit too. We gonna check out some other definition, right? But let's just peep this. Leviathan. This is the late 14th century. 14th century will be 13. According 1302. 1302 sounds familiar to you? And 1301 to 1502. That's, so they say, 200 years of voyages. Alright, this is late 14th century will be 1300. Starting 1301 to 1502 was 200 years of voyages according to their calendar. And that's what birthed the Biblioteca Columbina in 1453. You got dates 1452, yeah, it's all the same. The books were printed in 1453. That's why I stated that, because the books were printed in 1453. But what went on the record in 1452, situated on the east side of the Patio de los Nareños, it was enriched by the bequest from Ferdinando Colón, okay, Colón, Spanish. Ferdinando Colón was somehow the original name of Christopher Colón. They named him Columbus, probably according to the Columbina, where the library. Okay. The Incambula. Incambula just mean books. This is the library. This is the library that contained the rare work on the discovery of America. On the discovery of America, the Biblioteca Columbina is the Incumbula is the books of rare work on the discovery of America. It contains manuscripts written by Christopher Colon or Christopher Columbus, 15,000 volumes from 1301 to 1502. So, what were you saying? Oh yeah, Leviathan. This is in 13th century, right? So, dodge your own damn hijacks. TY in the forest. We ain't in the building, we in the forest, family. Shabbatah. So, Leviathan, late 13th century. Remember what we just talked about, right? Okay, sea monster, sea serpent. Okay, I like serpent better. All right, also regarded as a form of Satan. A form of Satan, right? But remember when them people came over here, they did the same thing. They said you was Satan. Remember they said you was Satan when they came over here. But all right, come on, look. From late Latin, all right, Leviathan. From Hebrew, check this out. All right, remember. Greek and Hebrew are two different things, okay? Though they are related. Just remember that, okay? Greek and Hebrew are two different dialects, though they are related. Okay, so now let's get to Hebrew. Leviathan is a dracon, is a serpent, huge sea animal of unknown origin, perhaps related to, okay, now when you break that down with the wreath, we understand about when we get into the Thoth, right? When we get into Thoth, right? Talk about the wreaths, how the angels could come through the wreaths, right? But you got to understand who is Thoth to you. Okay, we know Thoth is Gabriel. Who is Gabriel to you? Who is Gabriel to you? That's what's most important. See, if dragons are fighting fish, then whose side are you on? Okay, that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. If dragons are fighting fish, then whose side are you on? Okay, remember, the angels, what? They do the work for Hawa. The angels don't work for the devil, and the angels don't work for you. They work for Hawa. They work for Hawa. They work for the Creator. Who knows the knowledge of the Creator? Zero. No one. So, root from the wind, the breath, the wind, twist of powerful persons or things. Come on, man. Powerful persons. What's powerful? Who are powerful persons? Come on, man. You are the seed. You are the seed that instills the breath that is secure. All right? You are the seed that secures the breath. All right? Leviathan, wake up. Fee, wake up. Man, that flute, those flutes are beautiful. We will be getting back to the flutes. But those flutes are in 432. You know that 432 is 9. Don't get it twisted. Anytime you see 432, recognize that it is 9. Alright? There are only 9 numbers. 9 commandments, symbolic. 9 symbolic commandments. 9 is symbolic. Those who you have an ear, let them hear. You know what I'm saying? Those of you who have an ear, let them hear. Okay? The 9 is symbolic. Vibrate. Check this video out. Man, this video is wapa. Overstand the video dodge the hijacks, okay? This video is by, well, not the video, but the information, right? He gonna talk about Philo, okay? He gonna talk about Philo now. Don't get it twisted. This information right here is thousands of years before Philo. Okay, but Philo is, you know, he's supposed to have been the researcher to foresee the this actual information of the dragon cities and the war between the dragon and the fish. Okay, but understand that Philo is just a title. Okay, it's just a title. That title belonging to the imperial or the royal families. Okay, it's a difference. Little do you know, it's a difference. Imperial and the royal families. So once the imperial families take over, then the title Philo goes with that family, that dynasty. So lots of information comes through these titles of Philo, just like priest kings. Okay, so your Philo, originally being a descendant, Hebrew descendant, now your so-called Philo is with the histories or histories of the Socrates, shall we say. No, don't get smart on me, nigga. Alright? Don't get smart on me, nigga. No, get smart on me. I'm just, you know, that's a figure of speech. Just listen. So what I'm saying is that, so when the Greeks take over your kingdoms and then they, you know, personify these titles. So now the reason why that is, why I'm explaining this, is because the map would love to show, or wants your brain, right? The map wants your brain to think that this is over in the Middle East because of Philo's depiction, not the ancient Philo, okay, but the revised Philo. Okay, remember, they had something to do with the Gospels, right? Which has something to do with the New Testament, right? So therefore, the New Testament, right, has something to do with you having a three-way call, a third party, your creator, right? So therefore, if they want you to third party your creator, right? So then therefore they actually want you to third party your land, meaning that they want you lost in the sauce. They don't know they don't want you to know where these wars, actual wars from your Leviathan seeds, your descendants, your dragons, your defenders of your lands, your defenders of the Americas. So you got to go back to the story of Joshua and Moses, where we had dragons. We had dragons to defeat our enemies. Okay? We were corrected. We were connected to the Creator at that point still. So this video is hitting you over the head with some real shit, but dodge your own damned hijacks, because this artist took place where you at right now, in your Americas. Yeah, the old Egypts, the old priest king David cities, man. Remember we talked about Illinois? We showed you the map. Yeah, it's that real. Red hit you over the head. It's that real. So forget what they talking about. Alright, they got us all fucked up. Alright, Like my boy Big Chris say, they got us all fucked up. Okay, so, but it's a very interesting, it's food. Let's eat. Let's get full. Alright. Say your grace. Alright. But yeah, but it's real. All praise the war. But let's check this video out. This is the war on dracons and fish. Check it out.
Okay, this is just a test. This is a fish. You see this here, coming back here? All out here, his tail. You see it coming around here, his tail. Going back here. You see his eye there, his fish eye. You see all these scales. You see his fin coming up here. Now, I hope you can see that. I'm sure you can see that if you're paying attention. His face is like a little bit muddled up, but if you follow it back here, it comes right here. It comes back around. His tail comes around. Clearly defined here. It comes back. There's his fin. Now, let's look at this a little closer. So there's a fish, and it's in the desert, and it's extremely large. Now, let's see what's above him. You see there's a fish right here? Here's his fin. What is this right here? Let's see what that is. Because I can tell you what it is, but you can tell yourself in a second. Here's what you see up there. Now, if you ever go to Chinese New Year's or Chinese, they have the same dragon, exact identical dragon, has a nose, same sticks up funny like that. He's got the little fluty things that go in and all that flashy stuff, and then a white, buffy colored fuzzy stuff. They have an eye right here that is a flame. You see that? That's his eye, and it's flaming. Alright? This is the dragon. Now, here's his throat, his scaly dragon throat. You see that? And we can go down here and down here and down here and look at all his dragon scales all over, the armored scales. And here's all that fluty stuff and the fuzzy stuff. And here's all his back scales. Like the dragon, they call them shields. The dragon shields. All the way down his body. All the way down, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. And it goes and goes and goes. And I'm not going to do it because it'll take us forever. Because here's his head up here. And his body's way down here. Now you see this stuff? That's the leaching off of his body. That's the effluence of the body. That's blood, and black and red is blood. And it is running out of his body. That is what's called the death decomposition process. It leaches away, and it is not leached far from that carcass. So this did not occur that long ago. And you can see this here? We're still his neck. This is his legs. This is his body. This is his back. And then his tail continues and continues and continues and continues until we get to his tail, which I think it goes way out here, but let's just stop here, which is far enough out, and we can easily see what we're talking about. Look, see this? Look at this. Here's his tail. There's his dragon scale tail. So I'm telling you right now, this is what's going on. So see the runoff? Same stuff. Same distance. Same death process. It's the same creature, and he is dead and dying. And not only that, he was fighting that fish, and he spit out fire onto that fish and set his fin on fire, and that's exactly what happened. See his face right here? See his face? Here's his face. You see all the stuff running out of there? That's not just something dark in the desert. That is stuff that set his fin on fire. You see this stuff? That's not normal. You see what happened down here? Look. As soon as it hit this stuff here, it combusted. You see here? That's combustion. You see this here? All that and all this here? That's flames. Or it scorched the desert or whatever. You see down here? This is where it hit his fin. This is his fin. And it set it on fire. You see this whole thing? It set it on fire. And you see down here? Look. There's his fin. So there's a fish, there's his fin. The dragon attacked his fin and tried to set it on fire. And in the ancient Hebrew text, it says exactly this. It's exactly identical to this. That they two were fighting, and God came down and killed them both in the desert. I think it said west of Eden. And it said that the fish's place in life was in the Mediterranean. It owned the Mediterranean. And here's what happened when the Mediterranean sunk. It was an ocean. This whole thing was an ocean. And what happened was in Mauritania here, the Eye of the Sahara collapsed. You see this? That's the Eye of Sahara, which was Atlantis. When it collapsed, you see this here? This is like 32 miles deep or something. I mean, no, not that deep, but it's miles deep across here, and that ran out from here. This is exactly what happened. It drained the desert out of here, and it drained it across across Africa here, from here out, and it created the Cape Verde Islands. So that's just obvious, and Plato puts it here. This is the Atlas Mountains, Atlantis, Atlas Mountains, and there's straits right here, and that happened 9,100 years before Plato. So I put it 11,400 approximately years ago. And that's when Atlantis trained and all this stuff. And I don't know, I imagine that's when the fish went dry docked. I have no clue. I'm just showing you what I'm showing you. These are signs of God. I'm just telling you right now, you better react to them. And academics better turn around and start to teach God and explain that they made a mistake. They're the ones that were mistaken. And if I was them, I'd get on my knees right now and I would beg forgiveness for trying to lead people away from God. It's the last word I have on that. Alright, this is from ChristianityToday.com, and it talks about...
Man, it's beautiful. Alright, but you're getting food. You dodging the hijacks and you're getting food. Now remember, where they put Atlantis, where they put Egypt. But you know where Atlantis is. You know where Egypt. Dodge your own. That gig is up, man. The gig is up. You followed the trail. You know it leads right back to America. So listen to him, because he is a sojourner. He is scared of the Creator. So listen to him because he's scared of your Creator. So he is a sojourner, because he respects your Creator. So listen.
The Behemoth and the Leviathan, and they are literally the two most misunderstood and not understood creatures in history. And even back in the early days of Christianity, they sort of didn't really understand, or a lot of them, I'm sure, didn't believe anything that was said about them, because they said these creatures were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles long and huge. Now, in 400 AD, however, a fellow named John Chrysostom wrote this. He said, God does not create these animals, meaning the Behemoth and Leviathan, because his creations are oriented to provide what is useful to you, meaning us.
Okay, so you hear these, see, that's the mind of the hijack. But see, you got to know how the devil works. You got to know how the deceiver works. So, but didn't your Dracon protect you? So how did it not make it for you? It was made to protect you. Okay? Only reason they say this is because they said they had so much of a hard time with them. They had so much hard time with the Leviathan. They had so much of a hard time with feet, with the Naga, with you, trying to capture you and enslave you, that they said this motherfucker could not have been from this God. You understand? What is its use? This mysterious utility of these monsters. God does not create these animals because his creation is orientated to provide what is useful to the people. That shit up out of here, man. Get that shit up out of here.
Now, he also said, but one may ask, what is their use then? And we ignore what is the mystery. He continues on, he said, we ignore what is the mysterious utility of these monsters, the behemoth and Leviathan. But if we want to take the risk of an explanation for their existence, we may say that they lead toward the knowledge of God. And that is an absolute fact, my friends. That is what you are seeing today, is the knowledge of God. We may say that they lead toward the knowledge of God. And that is an absolute fact, my friends. That is what you are seeing today. We may say that they lead toward the knowledge of God. And that is an absolute fact, my friends. That is...
What? What? Yeah, man. That's how you dodge a hijack. Stand up, Hebrew. Stand up, Leviathan. Stand up, Dracon. Con. Ame'rican. Stand up. Origin. This is your origin. Yeah. Is that real, Israel? Is that real? Oh yeah, I wanted to get into something also. I was teaching this to young priests. One second. I was teaching this to young priests, man, because I wanted him to see something. Okay, let me remember what I told him to look up. I told him to look up a word. Okay. Oh, 1 second. Let me bring this down. Get back to the dictionary. This is crazy because I told him, oh yeah, right. This is crazy, right? Because this how, okay, don't get mad at me, grandmama, but this how they got us all fucked up, right? Because when you type in, check this out. So I told Shorty to type this in, right? Because I was actually teaching him the 5 principles of Paleo Hebrew, what we just went through, right? And so you know it's a Shem. Shem means Hebrew, right? So Shem means Hebrew, but then it's crazy because now they change it, right? Hebrew, it goes to Hebrew language. Check this out. Hebrew is a Northwest Semitic language native to Israel, right? We know what Israel, native to Israel, right? Israel is Jerusalem. Jerusalem is what? Is where the people are. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fuck over you. Don't let them fun you, alright? Don't let them hit you with the fuckery because of them embracing your titles. That's all it is. That's all this ever is. Remember, at the end of the day, we told you, the devil don't create shit. Nothing. So, Hebrew is a Northwest Semitic language native to Israel, right? Spoken by over 9 million people. How the fuck, excuse me, grandmama, but how the fuck could the books that was sealed up by Daniel be spoken by over 9 million people today? Come on, man. Come on, man. You serious? What they talking about? They ain't talking about shit. Alright, 9 million people worldwide. Historically, it is regarded as the language of the Israel and their ancestors. Okay, which is Shem, which is the indigenous people of the world. Although the language was not referred to by the name Hebrew in the Tanakh, the earliest examples of written Paleo. Alright, but she was crazy, so I gave you this, but when he looked it up, Okay, when he looked it up, it says straight up that Hebrews are the peoples over in Israel that are Palestine and Israelis are the descendants of the ancient Hebrews. That's what it told him. So I had to explain to him about dualities. I had to explain to him about typology. I had to explain to him about verbatim. You know what I'm saying? You get a lot of that when you get into the New Covenant or the New Testament. So they say, quote, quote, right? So I had to explain to him about that, because the origin is always the origin. The origin don't lie. Alright, so man, I just wanted to hit you over the head with that. So yeah, so we talked about earlier how Illinois cities are the wheat. Now we got, did y'all freaking know about ancient Egypt, right? But there's a city called Egypt in America today, till this day. Do y'all know where it's at? There's a city called Egypt today. And I don't know, maybe there's more than one. But this city looked just like the map of Egypt where they show you across the waters, right? This city looks like Egypt. This city is in a state that we probably have all been to. This city, Egypt, is in a state that we've all probably been to or through, but we never knew that there was a city called Egypt right in this state. And I have so many people that are from this state. I have family that are indigenous to that state right there where this city Egypt is. So we'll get into that. So we want to get into ancient Egypt in America. Man, I don't know where I got this information from. Somebody, all praise Allah, send me the link or put me onto this information. So you know what we do. We looking for food, and at the same time we gonna bob and weave. Remember, vibration is law. Law is Allah. All praise. Ancient Egypt in America by Mrs. Schiller Van Rensselaer. Alright. Can we blow this up? I think we already have. So the tremendous
Body like me, you let your subconscious.
Sorry about that. Give me a second real quick. Gotcha. Alright. Ancient Egypt in America. That's what we on, man. We on the soil, man. We on the soil today, tomorrow, forever. We will always be about the soil. It's the soil of the real priest. The tremendous plowshares of the French Revolution, rooting out and burying many time honoring things, upturned into the light of days other long forgotten, unregarded or misprized, thanks to the guiding hand of the General Bonaparte. General Bonaparte. One of these recoveries was the art of ancient Egypt. The French occupation of the Nile country lasted less than 3 years. Yet it was bore immediate and splendid fruit in the encyclopedic work called Description d'Egypte. See, when they know we talk about the Nile, the Mississippi is a Nile too. What? Don't y'all forget that. The Mississippi is a Nile too. And what's in the Nile? Minerals, resources, gold, Texas tea. Oh yeah, sales too. Sales are in the Nile too. All type of sales are in the Nile too. Other explorations, other great illustrated books soon followed. England was awakened to interest by important collections taken from the French when they surrendered at Alexandria in 1801. Traveling savants and wealthy tourists began to bring home works of art. So did more or less commercially minded antiquity hunters. Hunters of your shit. Exploring the sand-shrouded temples, entering the pyramids, discovering hidden tombs. The most successful of these was the Italian Belzoni, who worked partly of his own account, partly as agent for Henry Salt, the British Consul General at Cairo, publishing a story of his adventures and exhibiting some of his finds in London. In 189, Belzoni figured for a time as a popular hero. Many of Salt's acquisitions were bought for the British Museum in 1823, others by the King of France for the Louvre. In 1824, Champollion made known his great achievement, the reading of the hieroglyphs. In 1836, the obelisk of Ramesses the Great, was set up on the Place de la Concorde in Paris, and soon the collection and writings of Lepsius and Wilkinson's books on a more popular kind were spreading in Germany and in England. The new knowledge of civilization in regard to which Herodotus had remained for 23 centuries the chief authority. Okay, watch the hijacks, watch for the Greeks. Watch for the Greeks coming in with the hijack. Nor was America untouched by this new knowledge. What? Many American travelers must have examined the collections rapidly growing in European cities, while the most indifferent could not escape acquaintance with some of the elements of Egyptian art, as they had affected, especially in the designing of the furniture, the development in France of the style of the First Empire. Not until near the middle of the century were the products of this style woolly. Style wholly submerged by successive waves of nondescript forms of patterns, and patterns so in old-fashioned American houses may still be seen beautiful pieces of empire furniture brought home in the 30s and 40s, and also a variety of articles D. Paris model at long distance upon Egyptian suggestions. What he's talking about, different continents had different fabrics, and fabrics as today were in religious fashions, meaning that religiously there were certain material fabrics. So in Japan they would have a different fabric creating to what was holy, so as in other countries. Okay, so upon Egyptian suggestion, little marble sphinx, sarcophagi, and obelisks adorned with make-believe hieroglyphic inscriptions, which serve as thermometers, inkstands, paperweights, or mantle ornaments. And every self-respecting American bookcase then contained at least one book on Egypt, right? Sir Gardner Wilkinson's Manners and Customs of the Ancient Egyptians, first published in 1863, as if Egypt wasn't over here. But this was not all. More Americans than might be supposed visited this so-called Egypt. A number of them wrote books about it, two of which are still remembered: Prime Boat Life in Egypt and Nubia, and Curtis' delightful Nile, Notes of a Hawadi. And some of them brought home valuable antiquities for benefit, as it has proved, of the public of today. The earliest of these was a colonel, Cohen of Baltimore. That's so they say, right? And this Cohen is supposed to be a what? An imitation of a Khan, right? So we know this Cohen is a white man. Imitation. It don't matter if he white, so-called Arab, so-called whatever. This Cohen is an imitation of a Khan, who believed that in 1882 he had been the first to carry up the Nile, the flag of the United States. His collection, which contained a part of Henry's salt, was not exhibited until 1884, when it was given by his hearers to Johns Hopkins University. Remember, Hopkins University. Johns Hopkins University. Ain't that the medicine, right? Where the doctors go. Where they get them meds from. They steal them meds from the plants, man. But what they do, they're using labs. They're using labs to create medicine, right? When medicine's supposed to come from the herb. Johns Hopkins University. Right? In labs, researching poison as medicine. Hey man, these are just my thoughts. But even before this day, mummies have been more than once shown to our public. Between 1842 and 1850, George Gliddon, an Englishman whose father had acted as the first consul of the United States in Cairo, lectured here on Egypt with the aid of objects of art and of paintings enlarged from one of the great illustrated books. A volume of his lectures printed in New York in 1843 had by 1847 run through 15 editions, each of several thousand copies. Of course, all of this does not mean that any real knowledge of Egyptian art was spread abroad in our far-off country when it had as yet no help from museums of art or even from photography. Nevertheless, there was interest enough in America as in England to show in the designing of many important buildings, most of them like Egyptian Hall in London, where Belzani's collection were displayed, were grotesque, ridiculous travesties of Egyptian precedents or presidents. Much better were two of those in New York, the detention prisons so commonly called the Tombs, that is, bequeathed the name to its successor on the same site, and the disturbing reservoir on Fifth Avenue where the public library now stands. The architect of the one, finished in 1838, was John Haviland. The other, into which the water was turned in 1842, is thought to have been designed by the chief engineer of the Croton Aqueduct, John Bloomfield Jervis, to whose credit High Bridge also put. It is a pity that the tombs and the reservoir outlived their usefulness, for as the best results of a passing phase of popular taste, they had a certain historic value, and they were not travesties but frank and simple adaptations which served their purpose well and did not displease the mind or the eye. On the other hand, many of our eastern cities and towns contain or used to contain would-be Egyptian buildings which anyone might rejoice to see destroyed, or buildings, even churches, in which pseudo-Egyptians and pseudo-Greek features were very queerly combined. They cut off the nose to oppose. They cut off the nose to oppose. Still, and it still goes on today, you see. If the truth is told, the youth can grow. You know what I'm saying? That's that Nas, because it just came to my head when it says that. Pseudo-Egyptian and pseudo-Greek features were very queerly combined. Okay, they seem all to have antedated the Civil War, but since then Egyptian motives have often been used in cemetery gateways and monuments, recommended by their solid, I always had trouble with this word, solidity and gravity of air, and by the close connection of Egyptian art with the memory of the dead only, right? It was just before the Civil War that for the first time an American institution acquired an Egyptian collection, a very valuable one of more than 9,000 objects. It was just before the Civil War that for the first time an American institution acquired an Egyptian collection, a very valuable one of more than 9,000 objects. And you know, these folks will try to tell you that we brought these objects over here on a boat, but they can't find no recollection of that. You know how heavy these copper and gold objects could be? These stone objects. These objects were already here, man. Egypt was already here. So, it was before the Civil War that for the first time an American institution acquired an Egyptian collection, a very valuable one of more than 9,000 objects, much the finest yet brought to the country, and the first to be exhibited here, formed by Englishman, Dr. Henry Abbott, Englishman, right? During a residence of 20 years in Egypt. It was shown in New York in 1853 and in 1860 was bought by a popular subscription in which many noted men of other cities joined and given to the New York Historical Society. Unfortunately, there was then no museum of art where it might have been more appropriately placed and better cared for, as many experts, Lepsius, Pizzadie, Wilkinson, and Poole, among them, had given Dr. Abbott aid and advice. The existence and the value of his collection were remembered in Europe, but in America, confusedly shown in overcrowded cases, uninstructively cataloged, right, and housed in a building which could not be visited without a permit. It lay for many years in a truly Egyptian darkness of oblivion. Yeah, that's because they were too busy trying to imprisonate you, man. Too busy trying to imprisonate you. They couldn't expose this type of thing of you being priest kings, of you being solely descendants of the Creator, learning. Oh man, they burned your books, homie. They burned everything, homie. They burned you, homie. They burned us. So, but in America, confusedly shown in overcrowded cases, uninstructively cataloged, and housed in a building which could not be visited without a permit. Ain't that a bit? It lay for many years in a truly Egyptian darkness of oblivion. Even if a New Yorker remembered it, he could tell little more about it than it contained. Certainly, mummy bulls, reputed to be the only ones in existence. Yet, from time to time, other early collections came to keep it company. In 1908, the society moved into a new building, which it opened to public. And in 1917, it put its Egyptian treasures in the hands of an expert, right, for proper care, right, display and explanation. All right, the long neglect of these treasures was one of the signs of the interest excited by the opening of the ancient land to modern eyes had died down. More and more tourists were, indeed, going up the Nile, but for the sake of health or the pleasures of travel rather than to study the antiquity. Even after the establishment of our museums of art, interest revived but slowly. The first of them to give hospitality to ancient Egypt was the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, which in 1872 acquired by gift more than 1,000 objects gathered early in the century by a Scotch collector. The nucleus of a collection which is now surpassed in the country only by the possessions of the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Close to the Metropolitan, the obelisk of Tutmosis III was erected in 1881. In 1889, the English traveler Amelia B. Edwards lectured here on Egypt, how successfully anyone would know who has read her book, 1,000 Miles Up the Nile, still the best one. Graphic, alluring, and illuminating. Excuse me, let me drink some of this Ahchwa. Excuse me. So, in the museum, in the Metropolitan Museum in New York, close to the Metropolitan, the obelisk of Thutmose III was erected in 1881. In 1889, the English traveler Amelia B. Edwards lectured here on Egypt, how successfully anyone would know who has read her book, 1,000 Miles Up the Nile, still the best one, graphic, alluring, and illuminating, to prepare a tourist to enjoy his voyage during the 1890s. Two American universities, Harvard and Chicago, began to offer instruction in Egyptology. And in 1899, the first American exploring expedition was sent out by Mrs. Phoebe Hearst for the benefit of the University of Cali, California. What up to my Cali kinfolk? Shabbata and Shabbat Shalom. Alright, don't forget. Public and private collections were now growing and multiplying, which I know you won't. All praise. Public and private collections were now growing and multiplying. The Metropolitan Museum began its purchase of Egyptian material in 1886, although not until 1906 did it create that Egyptian department, which had developed. Alright, meanwhile, American Egyptologists, although still too few in number, have taken rank in the most, and that's funny, they become Egyptologists, then they go over to what they call Egypt when they should be studying Egypt here. You get it? That's crazy. Okay. Alright, let's get into part 2. I should like to show how rich America now is in multi-form artistic productions of ancient Egypt, and I should like to point out how their special interest for the love of art, their purely aesthetic significance, but I want still more to comment upon a certain peculiar importance that they have for the public at large. Pertain fundamental elementary lessons that they teach more distinctly and more emphatically, that could be assembled products of any other land. Okay, check this out. They had already attracted popular attention in large measure before Tutankhamun's spectacular resurrection drew upon ancient Egypt the eyes of all the world. All the Metropolitan, for example, the 14 Egyptian rooms have of late years been more frequent than any others, excepting the pictures galleries. Of course, not every visitor has been allured by the hope of aesthetic gratification, with the majority of a chief magnet. Okay, hold up one time. Let's see something else. flutes. Y'all like the flute? I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. We vibing out. Vibe with me. Stand up. Yeah, I'm gonna drop the link on that, man. I'm gonna drop the link on that, but man, we hit you over the head, man. When they get back to that Lotus, when they get back, we hit your head on that, man. Those Grand Canyons and those tombs. I mean, this is for real, for real. So they can try to disguise it all they want to, you know, about these artifacts coming over from the from across the waters, but it's bullshit. We know they first start taking pictures in the late 1900s. I mean the early 1900s. Okay, they just start recording. So this stuff was here thousands of years, hundreds of years. Let's say years before. It could have been 5 years before they discovered it. Don't matter. They didn't put it there. Overstand. And if they didn't put it there, then that means they don't know shit. So if they can't tell you who you are, how they gonna tell you who you ain't? It's real Israel, Egypt. In Indiana? Egypt in Indiana? I said Egypt in Indiana, man. Egypt is an unincorporated community in Jordan Township. No, nigga, not the Jordan. No, we talking about Jordan Township. Even though the Jordan is over here also in the Utahs. That river is in the Utahs. Don't let them fool you. Dodge your own damned hijacks. They trying to cover you up. They trying to disguise you. I'm here to tell you, kinfolk, we talking about you. Egypt. Jordan Township, Jasper County. Jasper. Ain't it funny how they have Jordan, Jasper, and Egypt in the same sentence? In Indiana. Look at this. Unincorporated community, and we'll get into unincorporated community. But check this out. Now, don't that look like the Egypt over there? But look how they play with you. This is Egypt right here. This is Egypt right here in where? In Indiana. I'm not bullshitting. In Indiana. Show map of the US. This is Egypt right here. We just now finding that out. In Indiana. In Jordan Township. Jasper County, Indiana. Egypt. Jordan, Jasper, Egypt. So that's it, where it's showing in the U.S., right by Wisconsin, in Indiana, Egypt. American Fact Finder. This is an American Fact Finder. United States Census Bureau. Archive from the original in 2013. Egypt, Indiana. Jasper County, Jordan Township. Somebody playing with you? 666 feet elevation. Multiple municipalities and communities of Jasper County, Indiana. These are other townships, okay? Townships, other communities in Egypt. Khan Kaki, Jordan, Hanging Grove, Milroy, Newton, Wheatfield, Walker, Carpenter, Barkley. Jasper County, Indiana. It's that fucking real, man. Alright, incorporated community. What does that mean? Unincorporated community. This is Egypt. Egypt is an unincorporated community. Alright, just hold up 1 second. We get back to that. Alright, let's check out unincorporated community real quick. Okay. Hit you over the head with this one time, then we get back into it, okay? In law, an unincorporated area is a region of land that is not governed by a local municipal corporation. Similarly, an unincorporated community is a region of land that is not governed by its own local municipal corporation, but rather it is administered as part of a larger administrative division, such as a township, a parish, a borough, a county, a city, canton, state, province, or country. Occasionally, municipalities dissolve or disincorporate, which may happen if they become fiscally insolvent, and services become the responsibility of a higher administration. In some countries, such as Brazil, Japan, France, or the United Kingdom, all areas of country are incorporated. In the United States, the United Geological Survey, USGS, calls unincorporated areas populated places. Unincorporated areas. Alright, we'll get back into that. But unincorporated, in law, an unincorporated area is a region of land that is not governed by the local the city municipal corporation. Similarly, an unincorporated community is a region of land that is not governed by its own local municipal corporation, but rather administered as part of a larger administrative division, such as a township or a parish. So you look in the South, a lot of the the cities are called parishes. Okay, parishes. So they are administered by larger administrative divisions. Okay, let me see. Welcome to Contra Costa Central Transit Village, an unincorporated community of Contra Costa County. Sign of Costa Costa Transit Village, unincorporated community. Oh, this is in California. An unincorporated community in Contra Costa County, California, United States, to north of Walnut Creek. Alright, we'll get back into that. Check this out. Ancient Egypt finds its way to Richmond, Indiana. Ancient Egypt finds its way to Richmond, Indiana. Yeah, man, I mean, we just bobbing and weaving, and we just, it's all about the land today, man. You know, the Creator gave us the land. Your framer and your shaper. It all goes together. So we just vibing out. Ancient Egypt finds its way to Richmond, Indiana. Alright. Most residents of Richmond, Indiana like to think they know the entirety of the history that the city offers. Richmond is brimming with national musical recording history, to include jazz greats like Hoagie Carmichael, Louis Armstrong, Jelly Roll Morton, Bix Bitterbeck, country artists like Gene Autry, and much more rich musical history, which is obvious to anyone who has driven through the Depot district or by one of many music-related murals. The city also has an abundance of architectural and artistic history, among other things. However, one of the Richmond's most unique historical attractive attributes goes widely unnoticed throughout the community. This attraction, or rather these attractions, are from quite possibly the most interesting period in world history and have forever titillated the minds of the historically literate and illiterate alike. At a museum, there is only one thing that can get a child as excited as walking into the gift store: mummies. Surprising to the most, Richmond houses the only two permanent mummy displays that can be found in the state of Indiana. What? You hear me? I said, at a museum, there is only one thing that can get a child as excited as walking through the gift store: is mummies. Remember Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark? Put it together, man. Put it together. Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark. We in Indiana, Egypt, right now. Feel that thing. Y'all feel that thing vibrating? Y'all feel that thing? Feel that thing, man. Feel that thing, man. right, so I said mummies. Alright, Richmond houses the only 2 permanent mummy displays that can be found in the state of Indiana. The first, located at the Wayne County Historical Museum, is 3,000 years old and is displayed. I mean, we don't know it's 3,000 years old. That's what they say, right? But displayed with its visually stunning coffin, the mummy, a male, is suspected to have died around the age of 35. And what Naga dies at the age of 35? A Naga that's done dipped in the fountain of youth. Cause didn't no Nagas die back then at 35. That Naga was probably a couple hundred years old, but black don't crack. Black don't crack, baby. So, the mummy is placed in the museum's Egyptian room and is surrounded by a myriad of ancient Egyptian artifacts. To make the presence of the mummy even more impressive, visitors can see what the mummy looks like while alive. This is due to the work of one's anthropologists, whom utilize a CAT scan to determine the mummy's appearance. A CAT scan to determine the mummy's appearance by the anthropologists. The second, located at Joseph Moore Museum of Natural History on the campus of Earlham College, was acquired by the museum in 1889 and is named Ta'an. Each of the mummies serve as one of the most, if not the most, interesting artifacts in its respective museum. Fortunately for Ta'an and the Joseph Moore Museum, the mummies escaped near disaster in 1924. What? In the early morning of October 23, at night, watchmen noticed Lindley Hall, the campus building that the mummy used to be housed in, was on fire. Somebody tried to set it on fire, man. Somebody tried to set it on fire. Today, the mummies can be viewed in their safe environments, free from malicious flames. The Wayne County, man. Somebody tried to set it on fire. All right, y'all check that out. Man, I wanted to show y'all some. It just, you know, like I say, we looking for food. But like I said, I was checking out this movie that AD, the Truth Seeker, put me on. He had put me on this movie called, or this series that was called The Man in High Castle. It has something to do with the third wrench in power, right? And their war with this yellow man, right? And so they taught that this yellow man was evil, right? We need to find out about this yellow man, man. I'm tripping, I'm telling you. Okay? So they end up enslaving this yellow man, right? So this book was in result, and it was intended for the wicked ways of the yellow man. But this granddaughter, this woman who was granddaughter of this rich, of these Berlin people, right? These Berlins, these I'm not talking about after the hijack. Okay, I'm talking about in the 1900s. Okay, during Hitler. All Alright, so now you get it. During Hitler, these were during Hitler times. Remember where Hitler imposed a killing, a murdering on these Polacks, so-called Polacks, right? Telling them they weren't Jews. Alright, but at the same time, these Polacks were forming this society of socialists, the society of what do you call these? I can't remember what it was, but of Talmudic people. Talmudic people, you know what the Talmud means, so you know what I'm saying, those who have an ear here. Okay, they were creating this era of Talmudic Jews. And so at the same time, they warred against this yellow man, the wicked ways of the yellow man. So they wrote a book for us to read, because they remember that after the enslavement, then they were teaching us about God. So it's interesting. So actually, The Man in High Castle is a series on how it depicts. You got to bob and weave in that too and dodge your own damn hijacks, but it's a depiction on how these so-called Polak Jews, these so-called Polanders, took over by misogyning the wars. Y'all check that out, man. By misogyning the war. Y'all check it out. Y'all also check out the war on the Hebrews. Alright, but I want to dig into this because we can get some food out of it. Alright, so I want to get some food out of it real quick. Let's check it out. It's called Your Light, the Evening and the Morning. Man, this shit got some wicked shit in it, but bob and weave. Alright, so it says collection on weekdays. Now, this is something that they wrote for us, right? For us to somehow find ways to read. So they implement Jesus in here a lot, man. New Testament things, trying to get us to know God, I guess, in a sense. So collection on weekdays, so as not to gather on the Shabbat. Collection on weekdays, so as not to gather on the Shabbat. Wherever collections are taken up, or books or literature sold or given out to be paid for, it is breaking the Shabbat. For money is the force and the power in the world, and places the trust in it instead of in Ahchwa. Okay, that's real shit. Okay, that's real shit. No matter what the intentions, the result is the same. Money is the power therein, and money, object, and work perish. Money, object, and work perish. So therefore, no work on the Shabbat, no spending any money on the Shabbat. I agree. Ahchwa says, I come quickly. The poor shall inherit the earth. His word is truth. He says peace on the earth, goodwill toward men, and the earth shall be filled with glory. How long will it take him to fulfill his words? When once he sends his spirit, or his soul, the power of the Holy Ghost, the power of the Holy Ghost on his elect. How long till his coming will be realized, when the poor, the laborers of the earth, cry out in his name, and look, pray for his coming, the putting of all strife and contention under his feet. When brother would not take up arms against brother at the command of oppressors. I told you, it's some game in here, man. You better listen. I don't know about the Holy Ghost and all that, but it's game in here, so listen. But we talking about the soul, we talking about the Ruach. The Ruach of Hawa is your Baru, is your blessing. So how long till his coming? Who coming? Who coming? Huh? The line, the lamp will burn for the seed of David, for the seed of the wheat, for the seed of your priest kings, forever. We hear you must wake up. How long till our coming will be realized when the poor, the laborers of the earth, cry out in his name, Hawa, and look and pray for his coming, the seed that is you. The putting of all strife and contention under his feet, when brother will not take up arms against brother at the command of oppressors. Now take up arms for your brother. The way you did with the oppressor, now take up arms for your brother. 'Cause we kings. But you taking up for other kings, popes, and presidents of rich men or rich men? No, take up for me now. I know who I am now. Now take up for me. Fight with me, brother. My brethren. I know who I am now. How long before the gun and the arrow of peace will make their appearance? A gun mechanism of springs or air that can be made in any shop or at home, and the arrow to carry its deadly explosives and deadly fumes that may be compounded in any laboratory. The knowledge of these things is being spread throughout the world. A people supplied with these contrivances at their own will lay low and annihilate and set fire to cities. It will be in the simplest way imaginable. In the hands of the many. In the hands of the many against which the present ways and systems cannot stand. For Hawa says the devil and hell shall not prevail against him. Against which the present ways and systems cannot stand. For Ahchwa says the devil, and all hell shall not prevail against him. The harvest for the gathering is ripe and at hand. Will it be gathered by the spirit, the soul of his mouth, and brightness of his coming, or by the sword, destruction, and death? He says he will reap, and he will. If a government prohibits the making of one class of destructive firearms, it also must, at the will of the people, prohibit all firearms or explosives for warfare. The man that needs a gun for protection must get it, and a license from the country or the county authorities. When the people of Siberia, the Chinese Empire, check it out. When the people of Siberia, the Chinese Empire, the tribes of different countries, Egypt, Africa, and the islands of the seas, the colored races. This is the cracker talking about you though. You gotta understand, when you use the colored races, this is the cracker, but something is in this cracker. The Most High came into him for what I'm saying is righteous. But we dodge and hijacks, but some of the things that I'm saying is righteous. So check this out. When the people of Siberia, Chinese Empire, the tribes of different countries, Egypt, Africa, and the islands of the seas, the Hebrew races, wake up to their strength and get to overstand each other and learn and overstand the imposition of the white race, they will march over Europe. They will march over Europe, take possession of it, and then come to the shores of America and take possession of it. I read it. Who said it? When the people of Siberia, the Chinese Empire, the tribes of different countries, Egypt, Africa, and the islands of the seas, that's Haiti, that's the Caribbean, that's South America, and that's what you call the seas in the Mediterranean. New Zealand, when the people of Siberia, the Chinese Empire, the tribes of different countries, Egypt, Africa, and the islands of the seas, the colored races wake up to their strength. The Hebrew races wake up to their strength and get to overstand each other and to learn and overstand the imposition of the white race. They will march over Europe, take possession of it, and then come to the shores of America and take possession of it. The ways of the white race must be consumed by the soul of Ahchwa. Peace on earth, goodwill toward men, recognizing justice, liberty, and equality, or be consumed by the yellow man's sword. See, this is what the Sakari was talking about when they talked about that seed, the seed of David coming back, their priest king coming back, justice coming back. The wicked ways of the white race will perish. The world will be turned upside down. Japan, with its knowledge of the world and its ways of the people, will be the leading spirit. Will the nations lay down their arms and dismantle their battleships and forts, or keep on preparing for war and have it out on the battlefield? The wicked ways of the yellow man. Don't sound too wicked to me, my people. I'm just saying. I'm reading it. Who wrote it? So, my brother King sent us a map, man. Put it on the ether. And right now, if you go to 432, you should probably check out, man. CJ Battle was in there hitting you over the head, man. Appreciate you, CJ Battle. This is David Rumsey's map collection, man. Cartographer Associates. We just want to check it out. Brethren King El Hawakwam hit us over the head with it, man. So I haven't got a chance to study it. I haven't got a chance to study it yet, but we can study it together. Largest early world map, Monty's 10 feet. Planisphere, plane, I love it. Planisphere, 1587. An extraordinary 60-sheet manuscript world map made in 1587 by Urbano Monty has been added to the David Rumsey map collection at Stanford University. At 10 foot square, this map, or plane, is the largest known early map of the world. It was hand-drawn by Monty in Milan, Italy, and only one other manuscript copy exists. The digitally joined 60-sheet map image below is the first time the map Monty made has been seen as one unified map. As Monty intended in the 430 years since it was created, see all the individual sheets. Monty's map reminds us of how historical maps are so important as primary sources. The North Pole Azimutho projection of his planisphere uses the advanced scientific ideas of his time. Okay, and you gotta understand, when we use the word sphere, you gotta understand we talking about circle, but you gotta understand this is a plane within a circle. Like if you think about your eye or the top of, or your actual what is that, the brown part, the melanated part in your eye, is that the iris? I don't know, that might be the other part, I'm not sure. But when it comes to that being depth and surface, but not actually sphere, only in the circular, from a isolated or isometric You understand? An isometric angle. So you're looking over it. You understand? When you're looking over it, it has a round sphere circumference, but when you look at it, understand, it has a flat surface. All right? Okay. Okay, the artistry is joined and decorated. The map embodies design at the highest level. And the view of the world then gives us a deep historical resource with the listings of places, the shapes of spaces, and the commentary interwoven into the map. Science, art, and history all in one document. Until now, Monty's manuscript map was seen as a series of 60 individual sheets. The only assembled version is the small single-page key sheet of the series. Now that we have joined all 60 sheets digitally, accomplished with the great skill by Brandon Rumsey, we can appreciate in a new way the extraordinary accomplishment of Monty made. The assembled map, just over 10 feet in diameter, is one of the largest, if not the largest, world maps made in the 16th century. The degree of detail and decoration is stunning, and the entire production is surely unique in the history of the cartographic representation. Monty made his map to serve not only as a geographical tool, but also to show climate, customs, length of day, distances within regions. In other words, to create a universal scientific planisphere. In his dedication on Tivoli Excel, he specifies how to arrange the sheets of this planisphere and make it explicit that the whole map was to be stuck on a wooden panel, 5.5 brachia square, that's about 10 feet, so that it could be revolved around a central pivot or pinned through the North Pole. This was never done, but now we can do it virtually. Monty's 60-sheet world map digitally assembled into a 10-feet planisphere. All right, so let's check it out. Now, the sad thing is we can't get a close-up of this map. We got to get other samples of it, but we can just distinctively check it out. Okay, as you can see, here's your Asias, what we call today your Asias. Here's your Americas, your North Americas, your Yucatan, Mexico area. Here's your South America, here's your islands, Caribbeans, what we call today. Okay, here's your but when we try to get a closer look, I don't think we can. See, there you go. Can't get a closer look. So if y'all can, man, try to get a closer look at this map. Because like I said, man, it got some oh, here we go. Wow. Okay, the 10-foot diameter planisphere digitally assembled from Monty. So here's the sheets. This is Wapa. Nagadoza. So yeah, it'd be kind of interesting if we can get to these Americas on these pages, if we could find which part. So each map would break down at what Pacific time that it was maybe the livestock, like I said, the animals, the food that was being grown, the culture. So that's extra dope. I love it. Provincia. Oh man, this is beautiful. With just little understanding yet, but it's beautiful. So we'll get into it. Yeah, man, we'll get into more studies of that map. I'm gonna hit you with the link so we can check that out. Get a little closer look into the Americas. Alright, baby. We're gonna get back into these Americas. 7 cities of Cibola. Cibola is the promised land. Cibola means the promised land. Cibola, the 7 cities of Cibola. But we getting into that 2-hour mark, man. I think I hit y'all over the head with enough real shit. I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all take a break. Let you get a breather. Go walk your doggy or something. I don't know. But it's been fun. It's been beautiful. I hope you all be patient with me. But like I said, it's a WAPA thing that we able to vibe together. I know when you listen to this, you're gonna be able to vibe out in some way, shape, or form. And what's most important is Hebrew is that you vibe out and stay above the firmament. We're gonna keep chasing them hounds from the barrier, man. And that's the most important thing, is that you vibrate, come back into yourself, come back into your creator. So watch the hijack over the hijack, man. Stay on that paleo. Stay on that paleo. And I don't mean just the language. And make sure y'all go here. What a coinky dink the paleo picked up. We got a chart over here, man, if y'all ever need it, which you will. This is your language. This is your ancient language. This is your ancient love song, man. This is your ancient love song. Right here in your Google, you can go right to the drop, man, from this chart right here, from our chart right here. It's a WAPA thing. It's a WAPA thing. Right here, we can tap in, listen to live, right from the chart. You can go here and check out the prayer right now. But man, just check out the beautiful things over at the 432, man. This week we got Yohanathan, the Hebrew prince, hitting you over the head with some real shit. We got AD hitting you over the head with the real shit. Brother Nature hitting you over the head with the real shit. KB hitting you over the head with some real shit, man. I like the sauce. Alright, the Shabbata is showing out and showing up. Isaac, always keeping it funky in 432. My brethren Isaac Ford, I love you, bro. And we got our family, our Shabbata, our family, our sisters. TY always hitting you over the head with the recognition. Always hitting you over the head with the poetry. Always hitting you over the head with the poetry. And I ain't talking about just that. I'm talking about that shit that make you think, man. And that shit that right to the point, man. So I mean, the kids can listen, the kids can learn from that poetry, man. It's real. It's like learning your ancient Hebrew or ancient alphabet all over again. And speaking of ancient alphabet, did y'all check out K Stu? No, seriously. She learning. We're learning ancient Hebrew from K Stu. We got so much going on. J Stu, the duty of man. Y'all check out that new AD, because that's my brother. You know, I don't know if I ever mentioned about AD, man. AD is one of the realest Hebrews that you ever be able to be in the comfort of, man. That brother is real, man. And that brothers bears a big soul. So man, I'm just appreciating everybody. I gotta, you know, we gotta send the Shabbat up into natural bar law for sure. And out to the other tribe members, Jerusalem and the tribe, Teach and the tribe. I love how we growing. I love how we Shabbat-eyeing up. I love how we back into the law. I love how we back into the paleo, back into our ancient love song, our ancient alphabet, our ancient alphabet. I love how we back into the forest. I love how we back into our Exodus. I love how we gather. Find the entrance to the Creator. Reveal it. Embrace the breath. And let it be secured by the Leviathan. And man, I'll see y'all real soon. I'm just gonna vibe out. I don't know about you. I'm gonna vibe out though. King, I see you. Appreciate you, man. Milwaukee, stand up. Miss D, Uno. Chef Candy, keeping us healthy. Appreciate you all, man. I appreciate you all. And this soulful collection of culture. Let's get us back to our origins. And it feels so good. Don't you agree? So we just gonna vibe out, man. I ain't tired of this, man. I can go all night, man. Let those who have an ear hear. Let those who have an ear hear.
Bye.